So, our VIP, very important person presenting tonight this is the first program of our 2026 to 27 continuing education program for District 55. She is a master storyteller, a seasoned speech competitor, and a homegrown talent from District 55, and now our district's newest Division G director for South Texas all the way to, I guess it's south of San Antonio or South San
Mhm.
Antonio area. So, but mostly the Rio Grande area, supporting the valley. And after taking second place at the global stage in 2019, Luisa Montalvo returned with an absolute determination in 2024 to claim the ultimate title, Toastmasters World Champion of Public Speaking. Known for her razor sharp editing, impeccable comedic timing, and purposeful use of stagecraft, Louisa knows exactly what it takes to transform a raw story into an international award winner and believes you can do this too. Well, today she is turning around this to guide us on and this next generation of speakers to success. So please welcome Luisa Montalvo presenting 18 Steps to a Winning Speech. Put your hands together for Luisa Montalvo. Yay!
Yay. Thank you so much, Bart. Thank you for that really great introduction. I know usually we are asked to write our own introduction, and I did not write that one. So that was pretty cool. I liked it. Thank you so much. As Bart mentioned, this was the same workshop I gave at the district conference back in May for District 55. One thing that I wanted to share with you: when you have the beautiful experience of winning world champion, all of a sudden every district wants you to go and visit their district during their conference. So you start getting invitations and they're asking all these questions, and there's no handbook to, in case you should win, here's what's going to happen. So all of a sudden I start getting requests from all these districts, and they're like, okay, Luisa, so what kind of keynotes do you have for us to choose from? Oh, keynotes? Like how long? Oh, like an hour keynote. Oh, sure. I'm on my little laptop. Yeah, I've got. I'll send those over to you in just a minute. And what kind of workshop do you have to present at our district during the conference? Workshop? Yeah, like an hour workshop where you could help everybody become better speakers. Well, what do you have to offer? I said, oh, I'll send that over to you also. And I am just thinking, what am I going to do? And so I have learned that putting together this workshop, I have a thing with numbers. It's like 37 strangers, 18 steps. I love numbers, but what I'm realizing is there's probably maybe 75 steps on how to write a winning speech. But if you say 75, nobody's going to tune in. And I get that. But I liked 18. So I kind of went with the really hardcore steps that I think are a really good foundation for you to be able to start with writing that winning speech. Again, like Bart mentioned, this was already given at the district conference. So if you've heard it already before, I apologize. Hopefully, maybe you learned something new. But one thing that I learned about this is in the very beginning of my printout and my handout, before we even start with number one, step number one, and the joke used to be, it probably still is, I can't take 3 steps, but I'm going to give you 18 steps on how to write a winning speech. And that's because, of course, I'm in a wheelchair. So there was a little joke there. But before you even start to write a speech, and whatever the speech is for, whether it's pathways, whether you want to compete, whether you need something to present at work, you have to ask yourself, why are you doing this? Now, this is mainly geared for competition because a lot of people, because I was blessed with being able to take away the top prize, now people want to know, okay, so I'm going to compete. So what do I need to know? How do I put a speech together? Well, first of all, like I said, you have to ask yourself, Why are you doing this? Are you doing this because Bart said, you know what? I think everybody needs to compete. Oh, well, okay. Well, I really don't want to compete, but okay, I'll give it a shot. I'll do it once. When you answer the question of how long or why are you doing this, that's going to give you the answer how long and how much time you're going to put and how much effort you're going to put in writing that speech. Now, if it's for competition and you're kind of stubborn, and even if it takes you 17 years to make it to the top, you're going to do it. Well, that tells you, I would say, hey, I'm committed. I'm going to do this. But I'm thinking some people, well, I'll compete at club and maybe area if I make it. So ask yourself, first of all, top thing, why are you doing this? If you're doing this because you're really serious about that, then that's going to give you your answer on how much time you're going to wind up investing in this project. Step number one is speak to an audience. It needs to be relatable to all your audience. In 2019, I gave a speech on racism and it made it to the world stage. But then right after that, I went and visited India, and there is no racism in India because everybody in India is from India. And it was unreal. There was no racism. So if you're going to speak on a subject, you might want to find out who your audience is and then make the subject relatable to your entire audience. Well, how do you do that? The best thing I know, or the best way I know, is you're going to wind up having the foundation of your speech be geared or centered on an emotion. Because no matter where you come from, no matter where you live, we all have gone through anger, we've gone through hurt, we've gone through pain, we've gone through love, we've gone through happiness, we've gone through sadness. So let's try and get a foundation of an emotion because you want to be relatable to your audience, and emotion, that's your key. Now, I have to admit, back in 2018, 2017, 2016, when I was competing, trying to make it to district, I would make it to district, but I would go to the conferences, and a lot of the speeches were kind of heavy. They were talking about serious things about, oh, somebody's mother died, and then somebody's brother had cancer, and then somebody's son was in a car accident. And it was, to me, it was a little depressing. It brought me down. And here's the thing. You can talk about the lowest point in your life. The trick or the way to win is to make sure you don't leave your audience on that low. If you're going to talk about some hardship and you're taking your audience down with you because it's a heavy subject, that's okay. Don't leave your audience there. Bring them back up. Let them be able to breathe. Let them be able to. It's like going to a movie. You go to a movie and there's this, there's a hero, there's the problem, and then there's the solution. If the solution doesn't have a happy ending, you didn't like the movie because it left you on a low. So try not to do that with your audience. You can talk about sensitive stuff, just don't leave them on the low. Number two, Luisa, where am I going to get an idea for a speech? I have no, I have a boring life. I get up, I go to work, I come home, I wash dishes, I eat. So let me tell you what happened to me. As soon as I moved down here to the valley, they had just built a brand new HEB. And I'm excited because it's one of these HEBs that has everything. So I'm driving into the parking lot, and this idiot almost hits me. I mean, in his car. And he came really close. And I got a little upset, but I thought, Lisa, you're back in the valley. Nobody knows how to drive. You need to get used to this. Parked, went into HEB, got my stuff, came home. And I got home, and mom says, hey, where were you? I said, I was at HEB. She said, oh, I wish you would have told me I needed some stuff. I said, oh, okay, mom, you know what? Tell me what you need. I'll go back. I go back. Guess what happens when I'm pulling into the parking lot? A lady almost hits me. And I'm thinking, okay, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to handle this because nobody knows how to drive down here. Are you kidding me? So I run in and grab my stuff for my mom, come back. Well, a few days later, I'm going back to HEB for some more stuff. And I'm thinking, okay, Luisa, be aware. Nobody knows how to drive. I pull into the parking lot. You guessed it. Some idiot almost hits me again. And I said, you know what? That's it. I pulled in, I got out of my car, and I was ready to walk over to the guy and tell him, hey, what is wrong with you? You almost hit my car. But he's walking towards me. And I'm thinking, oh, okay. So what is he going to tell me? He says, ma'am, are you new here? And I said, no, not really. I mean, I was born and raised here. He says, well, you do know that when you turned into the parking lot, you were in the wrong lane. Oh, so all this time I was the idiot. The other people weren't the idiots. You can take a, a simple little outing to HEB and make it into a speech. You see, I threw in the problem, and then there was the hero, which was the guy telling me, "Hey, Lucy, you're the idiot." And then in the end, you have the solution, which was, "Oh, okay, now I know I'm doing the stuff wrong." It was humiliation. It was a little bit of laughter. It was everything. And all I did was go to HEB. So you can take any little instance in your life and turn it into a life lesson. In fact, every morning that I get up, I ask myself, "Okay, God, what lesson am I going to learn today?" And you know what? Never fails. I will learn a lesson. So you can take something as easy as that and make it into a speech. But then you say, Luisa, I don't know what to talk about. Okay, so anytime you went through an emotion, you see, I was very upset. I was angry. So what would I do? The first time that I pulled into HEB and I almost got hit by that guy or that lady, I went and grabbed my phone and I went to voice memo. And I said, oh my gosh, this idiot almost cut me off and almost hit my car. Oh, I am so mad. And I stopped recording. That was what? An 8-10 second snippet of my true raw emotion. Well, you can bet the second time that I pull into HEB and then almost happened again, I grab my phone again. Oh my gosh, everybody down here is an idiot. Nobody knows how to drive. I almost got into another accident. Oh my gosh, this is so frustrating. And stop recording. And every time you have an emotion, if you're really happy about something, if you're mad about something, whatever it is, grab your phone, give it a little 10 second snippet. And then what you can do is go back at the end of the week or after 2 weeks or a month and go back and listen to all your little recordings. And whichever one you feel really, truly serious or something where you feel, hey, this could be a lesson for everybody. That's what you can write your speech on. All you have to do is take those little snippets, start writing stuff down, and you start to create your outline. And that's how you can take a regular everyday instance and make it into a speech. Number three, oh, I'm sorry. Number two was ideas from speeches come from life lessons. So number three is a personal story relating to the main idea of a speech. I believe it was last week I was asked to evaluate 2 or 3 people that had speeches they wanted to share. And there's one lady that gave a really good speech. However, she had 3 different personal stories. I think if you get one really good personal story that's going to connect with the audience, that's good. Maybe even 2, but now you're dividing the attention of the main concept of the speech or the story, and now you're splitting it. And so now your audience is having to think, okay, well, she talked about this first, and now she's going to talk about this. But when this lady put 3 different ideas into one speech, she didn't go deep enough into each one, and we couldn't. Me as an audience member, I couldn't really relate to any of them because they were not specific enough. There was not enough meat in the story, so to say. So, putting a personal story into a speech is so important because if I feel that if you give a speech and there's no personal story, you gave me a report. That's all you did. So reports are okay. Speeches on reports are okay. But if you want to make it to where you relate to the audience, go ahead and throw in a personal story. Number 4 is, I love this one. Interject appropriate humor, but not too much. Luisa, do I have to have humor in a speech for contest? No, you don't. Not at all. However, it does break up the seriousness sometimes of a speech. And it can be 1, 2, 3 different lines sprinkled within the speech where the audience will laugh. And sometimes when you give the audience something to laugh about, you're breaking the tension. You're allowing them to breathe. They get a few seconds to relax instead of just boom, 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 everything's serious. So try and throw in, you can even throw in a joke if you want to, if it relates to what your speech is about. So go ahead and try that. Appropriate humor, interject it, but not too much. In fact, in 2024, I was sitting there watching all the contestants on stage, and this one gentleman was hilarious. I mean, firstly, he was really good. He'd competed before. I was rolling on the floor when he's up there presenting. And I'm watching him and I'm thinking, there's your winner. I knew he was going to win in 2024. I knew it. He went over by 3 seconds, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I went up to people after they came up and they congratulated me. I said, man, I'm kind of glad that guy got disqualified. And they said, well, you still would have won, Luisa. I said, no, didn't you hear everybody laughing? And everybody said, Luisa, it's an international speech. It's not a humorous contest. And I went, oh, okay. So humor does help. We don't want to make the entire speech all humorous because then you could enter the humorous contest for that. So I just thought I'd throw that, interject appropriate humor, but not too much. Number 5, to me, you don't have to do this, but I find it helps when you have your introduction relate to your ending. Well, what do you mean by that, Luisa? What do you mean relate to it? So in 2024, I started my speech with the first word was clear. Like when you put defibrillator pads on you and somebody tries to revive you. My very last word, I was looking at the audience and it was more like, am I clear? So it was the same word, different meaning. But when you do that, when you take your intro and relate it to your ending, when you hit that ending, you're telling your audience, I'm finished. They don't have to say, oh, is that the ending? Everybody goes, oh, she's ending it the way she started it. And I give my audience credit. I know my audience is smart. They're intelligent enough to go, get it. I got it. Great speech. They're not wondering, do I clap? Is that the ending? So to me, if you can, number 5, have your intro relate to your ending. Number 6 goes along with number 5, and it's the similar attention grabbing introduction and ending. Attention grabbing is the key word in number 6. Well, what do you mean attention grabbing, Lisa? If I hear another speech start with, have you ever, whatever it is, yes, yes, whatever you're going to ask, it is, yes, we've done it. We've all done it. And people think that by starting with, have you ever been so mad? Yes, yes, we all have. Have you ever gone into the, yes, yes, we all have. And people feel as speakers that if they can get the audience to respond to something, okay, now I have your attention. You had my attention for 5 seconds, and then after that, what you said after that was not attention grabbing. So you're going to want to go with something attention grabbing in the first 30 seconds, because if you don't have your audience in the first 30 seconds, you know what they're doing after you started talking? They're like, wow, I should go see that movie. They're on their phone. They're thinking about what they want to go eat. Oh my gosh, I have to do laundry as soon as I get home. They're not listening to you anymore because your introduction did not grab them. And the trick is grabbing them and then keeping them entertained. So if you want to start off, please no more. Have you ever, or how many here have, these are so old for me, I am at number 6, and I can pause for just a few minutes if anybody has any questions before I continue, or if not, I can keep going. Are there any questions that you have maybe on the first 6 steps that you need clarity on, or maybe I didn't explain it right? I don't know, is that Tracy?
Yes.
Talk to me, Trace.
Hey, Louisa. when you do a speech, should you involve your audience in? Because you said, have you ever? And sometimes people use that in their speech and they ask for audience participation. If it's a regular like 5 to 7, would you say yes or no against that?
Tracy, that's a really good question. And I think what has happened is speakers have evolved. And I think back in, I think 1995 with David Brooks, or before then, speakers were standing behind the lectern and they weren't moving away from it. And then somebody said, you know what? Forget that. I'm moving out into the center of the stage. So then everybody started moving out into the center of the stage and forget the lectern. Nobody stood behind that anymore. And then what they started doing was, oh, I've got the whole stage. Then they started getting theatrical and animated because look at me, look at me. And then we went through that. And then we went through what I think we're going through now is conversational. But in between the theatrical look at me, you have your speakers that go, okay, everybody stand up, stand up. Yeah, let's stand up. Okay, everybody clap. Okay, everybody, let's dance. Okay. And to me, that was their way of getting the audience's attention. I think we've passed that phase, or maybe we need to move away from that. We're done with that phase. It's like staying behind the lectern. Nobody does that anymore. So to me, if you're more conversational, you don't need to be the. How many people here, you can get your audience involved in other ways other than the standard question. If you want, get them involved to where, like with my speech in 2024, for one, you couldn't even see my face for the first 15 seconds. I had my hair covering it. So everybody's like, oh, wow, what's she doing? What's going on? What's going on? You see, you can get your audience curious enough where you don't have to say, how many people here? So if you can do that, to me, that's a step in the right direction. You want to use a question? Use a question. If you're comfortable with that, go ahead and do that. I'm not saying it's the right way or a wrong way. I'm saying I've seen it too many times. And if you're going to want to compete, and if you're going to want to get on the international stage, the things that everybody else did 15, 20 years ago might not work. Listen, it's up to you. Great question. Thank you.
Thank you.
hmm Moving on. Moving on. Cool. Number 7. Oh my gosh, here we go. This is here. People will invite me to a Zoom and they'll say, Luisa, can you come and evaluate some speeches? And I start off telling them, look, I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear because I want you to wow me. I want to be able to, after a speech, you go, wow, did you hear that? That was a great speech. Too many people will go back and they'll get on YouTube and they'll watch all the past winners. They go, oh, I like when he did that or she did that. Yeah, I'm going to do that too. You don't want to do that. So wow me. So number 7 is no bland topics. If it is something that's bland that everybody talks about, make it interesting, make it unique, and wow me. And I know nobody wants to hear this, but if I hear another speech about leadership, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? That's all we're talking about. That's all anybody talks about anymore. And that's okay. If you're going to talk about leadership, that's okay. Tell me something nobody's ever said before. That's what I mean. Don't go with a bland topic. Go out on a limb. Talk about something crazy. Talk about something we've never heard before because that's what we want to hear. So number 8. Oh, wow. This one's my favorite. Slightly push the level of uncomfortable statements. In 2024, when I knew I had, doesn't mean I was going to win, but I always know I have the winning speech. But when I had my semifinal speech and I thought, Lucy, you just might make it to finals, start working on that second speech. I put the speech together. I presented it to my club. And as soon as I said the word God, everybody went, I said, so evaluation, round robin. And Paul raised his hand and said, Lisa, don't use the word God. I'm like, but Paul, I said my God. I didn't say your God. I didn't say God. I said my God. He said, well, I don't think he says, personally, I don't think you should use it. Okay. And a few other people told me not to use it. But I would rather lose a contest on my terms than win a contest trying to please everybody. So if you want to throw in uncomfortable statements, you can do that. Just realize that if you're going for the trophy, you might not get it, because I personally like it when somebody says something that makes you a little uncomfortable, because when you get the audience to get a little uncomfortable, okay, you're asking them to grow with you. Nobody wants to hear the same thing that everybody's heard the last 20 years. So you want to push the level of uncomfortableness, say something. Watch the audience. Number 9, I didn't even know it was a thing, but I had done it and I'd seen a lot of other speakers do it. And then I thought, oh, okay. And it's the theory of 3. Using the theory of 3 when you're going to give a speech. Well, what do you mean by the theory of 3, Lisa? I said, if you say something once, your brain hears it. Okay. If you say something twice, your brain says, wait, didn't she already say that? Or something like that. But when you say something 3 times, this is when your brain recognizes that there's a pattern. So now it goes, oh, recognizes there's a pattern, remembers that. So what do you mean by the theory of 3, Luisa? In my semifinal speech in 2024, I am talking about things that I refuse to do anymore because people have told me what I can't do. And I'm no longer willing to listen to somebody tell me what I can't do. So power of 3, I said, you know what? A few years ago, my doctors told me I wouldn't be able to walk or leave my wheelchair. And I went and moved the chair out of the way and I took 3 steps. And I said, watch me. Everybody was like, oh. And then I said, some people are saying that I can't shatter glass ceilings. Really? Watch me. Number 3. I said, my best friend tells me I can't cook. Really? No, she's right. I can't cook. But it was 3 different examples. And it's the power in the theory of 3. So not only did I use the theory of 3, but I also went and threw in a little humor. And everybody goes, oh, okay. So she doesn't like it when somebody tells her she can't do something. And that's what everybody remembered. So the power of 3 is very powerful. Use it if you can. Number 10, call to action for the audience. Lisa, do I have to have a call of action or a call to action? Well, if you don't have a call to action, then you are just telling us something to tell us. You see, most people, when speakers, good speakers, they say, you know what? Here's the problem. So why don't all of you help me realize the problem and then we can fix it? So by asking the audience, see, now you're asking the audience, hey, and in my 2024 semifinal speech, I said, look, don't wait 64 years to realize you can do anything you want with your life. See, I told my audience, look, don't wait until, your life has gone by to realize, hey, you can do anything. So that was my call to action. So don't make the same mistake I made. Don't wait 64 years. And so that's a call to action. And when you do that, the audience is like, oh, wow, they're asking. Now, here's the thing, and I don't think I talked about this before or at the conference. Maybe I did. My father's favorite comedian was, oh gosh, I can't remember his name now. The guy that attacked everybody. He was just, oh, what is his name?
Don
My mind went blank.
Rickles. Don
Don
Rickles.
Rickles. Don Rickles. That's it. I was gonna say the other guy with the, hey, take my wife, Rodney Dangerfield, but no, Don Rickles. Don Rickles is the only comedian that I have ever known where people wanted him to attack them, put them down. As soon as you go out and tell your audience, you know what your problem is? Wait, I know she's not talking to me because I don't have any problems. And even though we do, we don't like it when somebody says, you know what's wrong with you? Instead of saying, you know what you need to change? You know what you know where you need to grow? Nobody likes that. So what do you say? Look, guys, don't make the same mistake I made. Don't wait 64 years to realize you can do anything with your life. Said the same thing, maybe even more powerful if I say, look, this was my mistake. Don't do that. Please don't do that. As to, man, you're 64, you're all messed up. You all need to change. Something's got to happen. Nobody wants to hear that. We all know it's true, but nobody wants to hear it. So if you can, call to action. Oh, number 11. Oh, I don't have oh my gosh. Am I a terrible champion? I don't even know where my trophy is. Oh no, yes I do. Yes I do. It's put away. Right here, I would usually pick up my trophy and hold it next to me, and I would say, "Does this trophy make me look fat?" And the answer is, I don't care. I have the trophy. But why would I say that? Does this trophy make me look fat? What a lot of us don't realize is that before we've even uttered a single word of our speech, they announce our name. We're walking on stage. Are we confident? How's our posture? Do we brush our hair? Do we brush our teeth? Do our clothes match? Are they ironed? Do your shoes look good? How do you look? Because here's the problem. We don't have AI judges. We have human judges. So, because we have human judges, as soon as you walk on stage, they are already what? Judging you. I had a really good friend of mine. She's beautiful. And she came up and she goes, you know what? I'm going to compete against you. I said, okay, bring it. And she said, but look at this. I said, yeah, I know. I'm going to have to be that much better to beat you because you've already got 50 points where I've got maybe 10. So just by the way you look, you're confident, you're smiling, you're excited to get on stage, you look good. You're like, I've got this. And that is a lot for a lot of people. That is something that is very attractive. Man, I got this. Check this out. Wow, I'm going to blow everybody out of the water. And when we competed against each other, she won one time. And I said, okay. And she said, well, I was going to ask you to help me with my speech, but I knew you wouldn't. I said, why wouldn't I help you with your speech? She said, well, because we're competing against each other. I said, let me tell you something. I will compete. I will help you with your speech because I will give you every trick I know. And when you beat me, I need to get better because maybe I stayed in the coaching stage. But I tell you what, if I give you every trick in the book and I beat you, I don't feel bad about winning because I showed you all the tricks. So realize that I would say, and I hate to put so much weight on it, 25% of how you look when you walk on stage, haven't even said a word. Maybe they're already judging you. I know it. And how do I know it? Because I do the same thing. I'm like, okay, wow, look at this guy. Looks pretty rough. And there I am. And it's the wrong thing to do, but we're human. So until we get the AI judges, go ahead and watch how you look. Present yourself well, shoulders back, smiling. You got this. Number 12. Luisa, do I need props? I don't know. Do you? Well, how will I know if I need props? If the props are going to add to your speech, add value, absolutely. In the 2024 semifinal, I'm talking about playing drums. So I go out on stage with a pair of drumsticks. And somebody came up to me later and said, hey, why don't you go out on stage with that big, big drum that, you put out your shoulders with a big boom, boom, boom on the football field? I'm like, my audience is not, they're a little more advanced than they realize when I'm playing with drumsticks that I'm talking about a drum. You don't want your prop to take away value from your speech. You don't want it to be a distraction. I knew I didn't need to go out there with a whole drum set. I went out there with a pair of drumsticks. Now, I was corrected in 2019 because I love to use props. In fact, Amy and her husband helped me get the props on stage. But what was my mistake? See, I didn't realize that there are a lot of people out there that may have, and I'm not blaming this, I'm not saying this is a bad thing, ADHD, OCD, but what did I do with my props during the entire speech? Did I put them all back after I used them? No, I threw them all over the stage and they stayed on the stage. And some people were going like, is she gonna pick that up? Why did she pick that up? Is she gonna leave it on the floor? She should have put it away. Well, now I'm distracted. Now I'm just looking at the prop. You don't want that. If you are going to use props, make sure they don't take away the value of your speech. Keep your props hidden until you need them. Small in size, as small as you're comfortable with. And as soon as you wind up using the prop, put it back away. Don't keep it out the whole time. So that's my thing on props. If it lends value, absolutely. If you're going to use them, don't throw them scattered all over the place and have Amy and her husband expect them to go and pick up all your props after the end of the speech. Okay? Don't do that. Here we go. Number 13. When COVID hit, it was devastating because we had to go and learn a whole different way of living. I'm the silver lining kind of person that said there's something's got to come out. Something good has to come out of this. And actually, it did, because the thing that I saw after that was, well, if we can't leave our home, but we still have to work and we still have to talk to people all around the world for business, well, what are we going to do? We're going to Zoom. So we all started Zooming. So for number 13, you have a speech. If you're competing, guess what you can do? You can present your speech to as many clubs around the world. Well, why would I do that, Luisa? Why can't I just, go to a couple of clubs here in my area? Okay, in 2019, I had what I thought was a perfect speech. And then a lady, Lois Kim, joined our club. She was Asian. And I go and I do this whole speech about a cholo, and I'm helping him change a flat tire. And she said, I don't understand why you're afraid of him. I said, well, because he's a cholo. She goes, I don't know what a cholo is. What is that? I said, well, it's one of these rough guys. She goes, well, you didn't say that in your speech. So because she had no concept of what I was talking about, she didn't grasp what the story was about. Everybody from the Valley, everybody in my club knew what I was talking about. But when you get on an international stage, and here's the beauty. Oh my gosh, get on TMD, whatever, 55 org. I don't even know what it is. Even though I am the division director, I'm still working on that. At Toastmasters.com, whatever it is, whatever website, and say, I want to join or I want to visit a club. You can go all the way around the world and practice your speech, and you're going to wind up getting so many beautiful and rich perspectives of different people. And that's where the enrichment of your speech comes in. Too cool. Pick a place. Okay, let's go to Australia today. Okay, it might be 3 a.m. for you, but you're going to get a really nice different perspective. So that's one of the beauties, I believe, of COVID. So we're down to question 14. So any questions on the steps that I've given so far? Larry to meeting group chat. I just see Luisa, but I'm not able to open it. Oh, he's gone.
Says, question for me. You said of having to spend years strategically reinventing yourself and adapting to what you believed judges and audiences wanted in order to finally win, rather than simply being yourself from the start, framing this as a deliberate temporary act of appeasement necessary to succeed at the highest level. What are the unwritten rules of winning contests at the highest level? Do you have it written down somewhere ready to share with us? Oh, and by the way, I do want to let everyone know that I have a summary of this presentation that I'll send out as a handout, like a takeaway that I'll make sure everyone gets a copy of, so you don't have to frantically write notes on everything too. But
that's a great question on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what are a list of those things?
Well, here it is. It's having an open mindset, but before that, it's knowing exactly who your audience is. Because if you know your audience, you're going to wind up writing your speech towards them. And I haven't shared this with too many people. I'm not ashamed of this, but this is the extreme that I went to. You see, right next to me, my mom gifted me an empty lot, and there's no house on it. So my partner of 24 years bought me a riding lawnmower. And the thing that I love to do is get on that lawnmower and go up and down and up and down and up and down and just mow that whole yard. And I would go out there with a t-shirt, cut off t-shirt, shorts, no cap, no hat, nothing. And of course, in the summer, I get darker than dark. But once I realized that I wanted district in May in 2024, every time I went out there to mow the yard, I wore long sleeves. I wore a big hat so I wouldn't get darker, because I knew my audience was mainly 50 to 80-year-old Anglo-Saxon people. And even though I was born in the USA, I am a Mexican American. And I know that even though everybody, including me, says that we're not racist, we are. And it's okay. But that's the extreme that I went to because I knew my audience. Now, here's the thing. Back 17 years ago, 13 years ago, when I was competing, I'd get up there and I'd say whatever I want. But guess what? Saying whatever you want doesn't get you a trophy. A lot of people will come up and that was a great speech. You should have won. And my response is always, you should have been a judge. The thing is, you wind up changing and adapting to what you feel is going to win because you want to win. Now, if you don't care about winning, you don't have to change yourself, because you can get up and say, oh God, it's Luisa. She's going to be talking about dogs again. I just know it. Because maybe I don't care about a trophy. But if you do, you're going to have to really know your audience. And so many times I would tell myself, man, Lisa, that's the winning speech. And I wouldn't even place. And I'll talk about this here in a minute, but I would drive home crying. And it's a 5-hour drive from Austin to here. But I thought, okay, you know what? That didn't work. I'm going to reinvent myself. I'm going to try something different. I'm going to try something new. And I am the least creative person you're ever going to meet, because I can't win, what is it? Tall tales for anything. No creativity. But I had to keep changing and changing myself and changing myself. And it's like spaghetti. You take spaghetti, you throw it on the wall, see if it's cooked, whatever sticks, okay? Well, a lot of the stuff I was throwing on the wall wasn't sticking. So I have to make more spaghetti. Okay, and try it a different way, and try it a different way until you finally hit. So your mindset, you have to be able to tell yourself, maybe what you're doing isn't working. Now, hang on. So I know that doesn't answer your question, but hang on, because these last ones are really super important to exactly what you're talking about. So number 14, super easy. Cut your speech down to 6 minutes. Did you know in 2024, out of 8 people that were on stage, 3 people disqualified? 3. Can you imagine working on something for a year and then you get to the final stage? You're one of the top 8 speakers in the world and you get disqualified for what? Going over time. Versey went over 3 seconds. 3 seconds. Why? Because his speech was hilarious. And guess what you can't do when the audience is cracking up? You can't say, hey, be quiet, because what I'm going to say next is even funnier. You can't tell your audience that. You have to let them laugh. And what is the main thing that you want to do? Let me see. I think Amy was the one that did this for me. Look, they will put anybody on the rule book. Okay, they'll put anybody. And it just so happens that when I won, they put me on the rule book and the cover. But read the rule book. Did you know that one of the ladies that was disqualified, she got up there, she got the whole audience going, and everybody was singing, we will rock you. I mean, everybody was chanting. She'd only been in Toastmasters for 2 years out of Chicago. But guess what she didn't do? She didn't read the rule book. Because if she would have read the rule book, she would have known that she has to cite her source. She got up there, sang a song, and didn't say, and that was Freddie Mercury from Queen. She didn't say anything. She could have said Brian May, who wrote the song. She could have said Queen. She could have said Freddie Mercury, but she didn't say anything. And I tell you what, it hit me in the gut when right after she went and did her speech, performed her speech, gave her speech, she went and sat next to me. And the next time that after another speaker spoke, I looked, and out of the side door, 2 men in black suits, it was just like the movie, coming straight for her. And I knew what they were going to tell her. She had been disqualified because she failed to cite her source. Now, another thing is, only the judges or contestants could have said something about that. You know, Bart couldn't have gone and said it. Amy couldn't have said anything. It wouldn't have mattered. And I thought, why would I say anything? You know, she deserves to win. She deserves to win. No big deal. So somebody contested it. 3 people disqualified, down to the 8 best speakers of the world. And 2 people disqualified for going over time. The easiest thing to do, cut your speech down to 6 minutes. It's so easy. Find out what's really important. Just get rid of all that filler stuff. Make it important, 6 minutes. That way you don't have to worry about going over time. Number 15 is kind of going back to legacy program. Yes, I said it. Eye contact, hand gestures, voice inflections. You know, I had the beauty of being able to tour Europe last year. And here, this one, number 15, was enunciate. See, what I found out, realizing, was a lot of these people, English is not their first language. So when they get up there and they have a heavy accent, if the judges can't understand you, you can have the best speech, but if the judges can't understand you, what good is it? Now, I told them, I said, look, English is my first language, but the first thing I started to do was enunciate, because the last thing I want someone to say is, wait, what did she say? I couldn't understand her. And I'm going to tell you right now, I am going to be the worst world champion. Why? Because I say wanna and gonna instead of want to or going to. I still do it. I know I do. Correct me. I have no problem with that. But it's little things like that. And you're thinking, well, Luisa, how can I get better? I would take my phone and I would say, I'm going to go to the store for groceries. Here's my list. And I looked back and I said, when did I say fur? F-U-R. I didn't say fur. Oh, I did. I said fur groceries, and the word is for. I am going to the store for groceries, not fur. Little things like that. That's it. Enunciate. Oh my gosh. If I can understand you, I'm going to want to listen to you. If I can understand you in the first 1 minute, it gets too hard for our brain to try and decipher what it is you're saying. So we give up. So if anything, enunciate. That was number 15. Number 16. You put on your best clothes. You brush your hair. You brush your teeth. You put on deodorant. You put on clean socks and underwear. You look great. You get on stage. Oh my gosh, you knocked that speech out of the park. Everybody's clapping. Everybody's, yes, you got it. And guess what? You don't even place. You know, all these steps that I've been talking to you about, there's only 4 things you need to do to win any contest. You know what they are? 4 things. You have to say the right thing at the right time, on the right day, to the right judges. Easy peasy. Luisa, how do you do that? I have no idea. If I knew that, I would have won the first year that I competed. You know, when you're at home and you're watching Miss America and you're like, oh my gosh, Miss Texas is beautiful. New Mexico. Why did New Mexico win? Oh my gosh, did you see her competition? She dropped the baton that was on fire. Oh my gosh. Why? Why did Miss New Mexico win? Because again, we don't have AI judges. We have human judges. And because of that, that's why it's very important. You do everything right, you still don't win. Say the right thing at the right time on the right day to the judges, and you're guaranteed a trophy. So what do you do after that? Number 17, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, go home, and prepare to reinvent yourself. Look, oh my God. I just admitted to you guys that the first time that I competed and didn't win, I drove home for 5 hours, and 4 of those hours I cried. And it's okay. It's like the stages of grief. You have to go through that. Go through the stages. Quit Toastmasters like I did the next day. I'm not going to Toastmasters. Forget it. And Phyllis, my 95-year-old mentor, called me in the next week and she said, I'm not going to be at the meeting. Can you go to the meeting and run the meeting because I won't be there? Fine. I show up, and of course she's there. I knew what she was doing, but she got me going back to Toastmasters. And believe it or not, I was ready to quit Toastmasters, but you can be having a really bad day. You can be going through a lot of stuff in your life. And there for a time, I really was going through a lot, but we all do. But I would go to Toastmasters and I would see my friends. And we'd have a good time. And then we'd go out to eat after. And before I knew it, I had the 3 best hours of the day. And I'd forgotten about all that stuff that I was going through. So pick yourself up. You want to cry, cry. Okay? Get all ugly with the bags under the eyes and all congested and everything. That's fine. Do that. Just don't stay there. You can grieve. That's okay. Don't stay there. Go home and reinvent yourself. And number 18, go back to number 1. Why are you doing this? You gave a speech. You competed. You didn't win. How much time are you willing to invest in this project? If you're going to keep doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it, even though you lose, even though people tell you, hey, you're not going to win. If it's something you want to keep doing, you'll keep doing it. If you don't, you don't. No big deal. Go find what you really want to do. Spend time and energy where you really want to spend it. You don't have to keep competing. It's not for everybody. Just like division director isn't for everybody. But of course, I didn't say that. So those are my 18 steps. I have been advised that maybe I should write a book about this. I would love to do an audio book because I think I can explain better when it's audio. But just realize that if you ever do see a book, it's got my name on it, and it's something about 18 steps. I'm not writing it because I want to see how much money I can make off a book. But I want you to know that whatever money I do make off a book or anything that I do, Toastmaster wise, speaking wise, it's going back to the dogs. Because I have 2 loves in my life: speaking, Toastmasters, and dogs. Come here. I do. I love dogs. And I want to save all of them in the valley. And I know if I make money, I can get them all spayed and neutered, and then we don't have to euthanize. And then dogs like this dog won't be in the shelter. And that's what I want to do. Okay, I'm done with you.
Louisa, we do have one question that I know of, and I know we're running low on time, but Amy, yes, if you'll share your question. She's been patiently waiting.
Thank you, Bart. Thank you, Luisa. Thank you so much. I saw this in May, and I'm so happy I came online again today because so much information you give. You've
Mhm.
also encouraged me to go out to YouTube again and watch your 2024 and your
Oh,
2019 speeches. But are there other speeches that you have out there? Do you know? Because that's my goal now, is to find more speeches that you've given that might be out there on YouTube. So I just
I
wanted you to know that, sweetie.
great question. I do have more speeches. I need to load them up to the YouTube channel so that when you do put in my name, it comes up. And then somebody said I also need to put them on my LinkedIn profile, but I don't know how to do that because I don't know. Because I stopped learning 30 years ago. But anyway, I'm gonna have to learn how to do it. That way it will get me out there. But yes, I do have other speeches, and that's actually a question that I was going to ask. Somebody had sent me an email about, Ruben Loewen. I don't know if you remember Ruben Lund. He said he would help me do that, get my stuff out there on the YouTube channel. So yes,
Do so,
there are more
please.
speeches.
Yeah. Thank you so much for tonight.
Thank you, Amy.
And we plan to edit this program and make it available on the internet with Luisa's permission. And this will be something she can use to promote herself. And we can continue to use this to educate others in the community and show them if you really want to compete, which is what we want everybody to do, it's not that hard, but there's a lot of little details to be aware of. And it's all a growth process. Someone had asked a question, Luisa, of how many times did you compete before you actually won? And do you recall how many times you got up to district before you went on to, because you did go on at least 2 or 3 times, even though you didn't come at 2 times before. Well, okay. And how many times did you compete in the contest each year? Like how many years?
So I've lost 44 contests.
Okay.
And in 1989 to 1992, I competed every year. Never made, I think I made it to district, but never won district. And then when I rejoined in 2013, all the way up to 2019, I lost six district contests in a row. I would make it to district and would not win. And then Phyllis came up and said, "You know why you're not winning?" And I said, "Phyllis, why are you just now telling me this 6 years later? Why didn't you tell me the first year? Why are you waiting 6 years later?" So my 7th year, she told me I wasn't having fun. And she was right. Because if you go back and watch my 2019 speech, I got up on stage and I'm like, well, what the heck? If I would lose, I lose, but I made one of the top 8. So I got up there, had fun. And in 2019 was the first time that I had actually made it to the semifinals, quarterfinals. But the first time I won district was 2019, because after that, I took it all the way to the international stage and then again in 2024.
Well, and I do recall that in Toastmasters, we are all about practicing and learning. It's not about winning. Well, for Luisa, it is, but but it's really all about learning and growing and expanding and getting better and better every time you try it. And that's what we do in every club, in everywhere, every district, and of course in every contest. So I hope and I hope everyone will take this information to heart and think, I could be a champion just like Luisa. And I want to thank you, Luisa, for sharing your time, your knowledge, your hard-won expertise. We do look forward to that book and other videos.
Oh, yeah.
And we will be making this available, and I'll be working with you also on a handout for this particular presentation and make sure we've got those 18 steps available as a little handout that's summarizing everything, but people will be able to see the video as well. So thank you so much, everyone who came. Thank you, Luisa Montalvo, for everything that you are, and we look forward to hearing much, much more from you.